success, as you know, in Iran. We had one in Venezuela, and now we're having one in Iran. They have no Navy left. They have no Air Force left. They have no anti-aircraft equipment left, no radar left, no leaders left. The leaders are all gone. Nobody knows who to talk to. But we're actually talking to the right people, and they want to make a deal so badly. You have no idea how badly they want to make a deal. And we'll see what happens. I want to thank Pete Hegseth. The job you're doing over there is really incredible. You and the general and all of the other generals and colonels and captains and majors and everybody else, right? It's a perfect, amazing thing. We make the best military equipment in the world. Now we're going to make it faster. We want to get it faster, but we make the best in the world. We're doing a job. So I'd like to ask Attorney General Bondi to come and do the honors.
Pause the video and rewind it. Listen to what Trump said one more time. They have no Navy, no Air Force, no air defense systems, no radar, no leaders. The President of the United States has just described the complete military collapse of a nation that was referred to as a regional superpower just 3 months ago. And if you had turned on CNN tonight, you would have thought we were in a dead end. Here is the shocking shift that no one has explained to you. Iran was the last major state-level military adversary in the Middle East that had not been defeated by American power. They had bunkers. They had Russian air defense systems. They were using Hezbollah as a proxy army. They had nuclear development infrastructure that was literally being funded with cash to keep it running under the Obama deal. And according to the U.S. president sitting in front of the cameras in the Oval Office just a few weeks ago, all of that is gone. Gone. If this is even partially true, and we'll examine the numbers in depth in this video, this isn't just a foreign policy story. It's a tectonic shift in the entire architecture of the power balance in the Middle East. Stay tuned. This goes far deeper than the headlines.
The city, Tehran, as opposed to Iran. We're roaming free. We can do whatever we want. And as you know, today we were going to have the privilege of shooting down a very big electric generation plant, one of the biggest in the world. And one shot to the right location ends the plant, it collapses. And we held off based on the fact that we're negotiating. Yeah.
What do you think was the turning point to make you want to pursue a ceasefire? A few days ago, you said you wanted to continue bombing Iran. Now you want to pursue peace talks. Was there something that happened?
The fact that they're talking to us and they're talking sense. And remember, it all starts with they cannot have a nuclear weapon. Just, I said yesterday, they said, what are the top 10? I said, well, number 1, 2, and 3 is they can't have a nuclear weapon. And they're not going to have a nuclear weapon. And we're talking about that. And I don't want to say in advance, but they've agreed they will never have a nuclear weapon. They've agreed to that.
How do you ensure they won't have a nuclear
Your
weapon?
former Border Patrol chief, Greg Bovino, said his only regret is that he didn't catch more illegal aliens. What's your reaction to that?
Who said that?
That's your former Border Patrol chief. He just retired.
Well, I mean, we captured a lot. They were allowed into the country by Sleepy Joe and that group of incompetent people that were, he was the worst president ever, the group of incompetent people. To me, that's the biggest scar. Inflation, they caused the highest inflation we've ever had. We've already gotten rid of it. The biggest scar is what they did, the people that they allowed from prisons all over the world. They came from the Congo, from all over South America. Rough people, really tough people. So, no, I understand what he means. He would have liked to have captured more. I'm not capturing so much as removing. We're removing thousands of people, and many are self-deporting because we're going after them so powerfully that they're self-deporting, Tom. Going back, I think that's one of the big unkept secrets. We have thousands and thousands of people, and they're self-deporting. They're going back to where they came from. But what we want really is the criminals. We're really focused on those criminals, getting them out. Yeah.
Message right now to Democrats and also to Americans that are stuck in airports is really devastating watching it online because Democrats won't fund DHS.
What's devastating?
Message to Americans right now stuck in airports as we speak because Democrats won't
Well,
fund
they just
DHS.
don't, they won't. Look, this is a deal that was done in the great big beautiful deal, which gave you the biggest tax cuts ever, including no tax on tips and no tax on Social Security for the seniors. Think of it, no tax on overtime. tax deductions when you buy a car. You take money, pay interest on the money, you deduct it. We've never had that for people buying cars. If it's an American car, only if it's an American car. But they are just they stick together, the Democrats. I tell you, I give them great credit for that. We have some that they're not good stickers. We have guys like Tom Massey in Congress, who's terrible. He's just terrible, terrible person. I call him Rand Paul Jr. But they don't vote. Rand Paul, rarely votes for stuff. Likes me, says I'm a great president. He said the other day, I'm a great president, one of the greatest presidents. But I said, do me a favor, vote for us and don't call me a great. I'd rather have the vote than the statement. But we have people that don't stick together, and those people hopefully will someday be gone. The thing I most respect about the Democrats, even on horrible policy, they stick together. What they do have, though, is horrible policy. Transgender for everyone, open borders, men and women's sports. They have the worst policy that you can imagine. And so whether they stick together or not, they have just as terrible policy. We have great policy. Republicans have great policy. We have common sense policy, but it's great policy. That's our biggest advantage, is our policy is correct. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, are you encouraging our allies in the Gulf to be more involved in the Iran operation?
Say it.
Are you encouraging our allies in the Gulf to be more involved in the Iran operation?
Yeah, a little bit, but more NATO. I think our Gulf allies have been pretty good, to be honest with you. UAE's been hit so hard. He got hit by 1,400 rockets, shot them all out of the air with our great Patriot missiles. Think of it, they shot 100 missiles at one of our aircraft carriers, the Abraham Lincoln, one of the biggest ships in the world, actually. And out of 101 missiles shot, every single one of them was knocked down in the sea. Think of that. Think of what that means. 101 missiles, highly sophisticated, very fast missiles shot. Out of 101, all 101 were shot down, and now, for the most part, lie at the bottom of the sea. Pretty amazing, right? Pretty amazing. Our military is amazing, Pete. You know the attack I'm talking about recently? 101 shot. I said, wow. I saw that. You can see we have sort of pretty good equipment that we see. It's called the red line. Those red lines were thick, right? I said, that's a lot. And then we saw them one by one just get shot. And these guys that do the shooting are the coolest cucumbers ever. Most people, you don't have a lot of time. When a missile's going at 2,500 miles an hour, I don't care how far away it is, you don't have a lot of time. But I watched them sit down and think. Great students, MITs, a lot of MITs, a lot of guys like this. They're not as much into the muscle as they are this one right here. And amazing to watch them perform under great pressure, because they have a matter of seconds to do it. If they don't do it properly, it's a big problem, because these were powerful. These were very powerful missiles coming. And so a lot of people...
101 missiles. Iran fired 101 missiles at the USS Abraham Lincoln, a single aircraft carrier, one of the most heavily defended targets in the world. Surrounded by destroyers, Aegis systems, and patrolling F-18s. And every single one of those 101 missiles was intercepted. I want you to understand what this means tactically. Iran expended a significant portion of its remaining long-range missile stockpile on a single attack. They didn't land a single hit. 0. This isn't a war. This is a proof of concept. It's proof that American missile defense technology, the systems built over the past 40 years by patriots, Aegis, defense contractors, and Pentagon planners, actually works on a large scale. This is where things get even more significant. Trump announced today that the U.S. has postponed an attack on one of Iran's largest power generation facilities as a gesture of goodwill in negotiations. Think about that sentence. The United States possesses the military capability and targeting data to cripple Iran's civilian power infrastructure, and chose not to do so, as a sign of good faith in negotiations. This is a type of leverage not seen in American foreign policy for a generation. Pete Hegseth said today, and I'll quote him directly, that this is an event that will go down in the history books. He said the Iranian military was wiped out from day one with overwhelming firepower. Now, I know some of you are skeptical. You should be. Governments lie about wars. The media exaggerates victories. That is the duty of a critical viewer. But what's hard to fake is this: regime change. Trump said it himself. They killed the leaders. A new leadership emerged. They killed that leadership too. And now there's a third group of officials trying to negotiate. This isn't propaganda. This is a succession crisis. This is what happens when you surgically eliminate all of a government's decision-makers within a tight time frame. Iran launched missiles at the UAE, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and Bahrain. At countries with which it has diplomatic relations. In some cases, at countries that quietly sympathize with Iran's influence. They attacked their own neighbors. This is the action of a regime that knows it has lost and is trying to burn and destroy everything before it goes down. It is reported that the agreement currently on the table includes the following: no nuclear weapons, no enrichment, and Iran has already approved these terms, according to Trump. If this agreement holds, and I want to make it clear that we do not yet know if it holds, this is not just the end of a military operation. It is the end of the Islamic Republic's nuclear ambitions. Period. And the media telling you this is reckless. The same outlets that claimed attacking Iran would start World War III are now running headlines about uncertainty and fragile ceasefires. Because they don't have the courage to say, Trump was right.
And I'm involved. Why? I'm going to be so big. Oh, I don't want to talk about it. I'm the President of the United States, Tom, and I'm not going to talk about it. It's beneath me to talk about saving millions of lives, because that's what you're talking about. You're talking about saving millions of lives. If Iran had a nuclear weapon, they would have used it. And if I didn't end the horrible Barack Hussein Obama Iran nuclear deal in my first administration, they would have had a nuclear weapon 3 or 4 years ago. They would have used it. I would have never gotten the chance probably to be president. Who knows what it would have been so devastating. And if we didn't send those beautiful B-2 bombers, they took them off my desk. They were right there. I don't know why. But if we didn't have those beautiful, the B-2 hit, which was so, we obliterated, despite CNN. CNN said, well, maybe the word obliteration said, no, we obliterated it. Just obliterated their nuclear potential. You would have had them having 2 weeks after that attack, had we not made the attack, they would have had a nuclear weapon. They would have absolutely used it. And they would have used it on the entire Middle East, including Israel. And you know why you see that? Because unexpectedly, when this war broke out, unexpectedly, they started sending missiles to UAE, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Bahrain, and elsewhere. And nobody thought they were going to. Were you equally surprised by that, Pete?
Way more than we thought, Mr. President.
Pete, do you want to give about a 3-minute statement on how we're doing in this, as I call it, military operation? People don't like me using the word war, but so I won't. But the Democrats call it a war. How about a little statement? I think he's done a very good job. Do we agree he's done a good job, Mark White? Can we take some of your time?
Well, thank you, Mr. President. You're spot on. Never in history has a modern military, Iran had a modern military, a modern Navy, a modern Air Force, modern air defenses, leadership, massive bunker. Never has a modern military been so rapidly and historically obliterated, defeated, from day one with overwhelming firepower. The air campaign that we've conducted, that Israel's conducted alongside us, was one for the history books, truly. And it's because we have a president of the United States that when he sends his warfighters out to fight, he unties their hands to actually go out and close with and destroy the enemy as viciously as possible from moment one. And that's why we see ourselves as part of this negotiation as well. We negotiate with bombs. You have a choice as we loiter over the top of Tehran, as the president talked about your future. The president has made it clear that you will not have a nuclear weapon. The War Department agrees. Our job is to ensure that. And so we're keeping our hand on that throttle as long as hard as is necessary to ensure the interests of the United States of America are achieved on that battlefield. This is not Iraq and Afghanistan. This is not a president who's interested in vague end states. He's been very clear with us about what we need to accomplish, creating the conditions for them never to have a nuclear capability, and that's exactly what we're doing in historic fashion. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Great job.
We negotiate with bombs. Pete Hegseth said this today. And before reacting emotionally to these words, because I know this statement was designed to provoke a reaction, I want to examine what it actually means from a strategic perspective. There is a view in foreign policy thinking that the best negotiations occur when one side has nothing left to threaten you with. When the balance of power is so asymmetrical, the only rational move for the other side is to agree. According to everyone in the Oval Office today, the U.S. is currently in exactly that position. Iran's religious leader has died. The leaders who succeeded him are in a state of panic. According to the U.S. military's own assessment, the Iranian military has been effectively neutralized. And Iran, as a gesture of goodwill, or, according to Trump, of its own accord, has granted the U.S. an oil and gas concession. You don't give gifts to people you think you're going to beat. Obama's nuclear deal unlocked $150 billion in frozen assets for Iran, and eventually paved the way for it to regain nuclear capabilities. Trump withdrew from it in 2018. The media told you this was a reckless move. Foreign policy circles told you Iran would retaliate on a catastrophic scale. It's now 2026. The Iranian military no longer exists. They want a deal. The issue isn't who you support politically. The issue is, what actually happened? History will not be kind to the analysts who told you for 8 years that the JCPOA was the only option. This was the other option. I'm Michael Carter. The story isn't over. Neither are we. Have a good day, everyone. See you later.